What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Behind the Duel Disc podcast. I am your host, Ty Payne. Justin is not joining me tonight, but tonight we also have a special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna love him. He's the best hero player in Edison format. He dominated all of 2023 single-handedly. He's the Batman to my Robin, the All Might to my Deku, Mr. 2023 himself, a true hero, Cairo King is here, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. I don't know what more I could say to such a wonderful introduction. I really do appreciate it.
You
And
just
2023 was definitely the year of Diva Hero, and a lot has changed now that we're in the midway point of 2024. We've seen a lot of aspiring hero players come up, such as Bad Robot and Televisual. But I
that.
definitely appreciate the OG King crown.
Oh, definitely. You definitely deserve it, man. Like, no, like a lot of the deeper hero players that's doing it now wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
True, true. I'm happy that I was able to set the path for Diva Hero. And Diva Hero has been doing quite well recently. Even Josh Reigns, he recently got top 8 at a major Yu-Gi-Oh event with Diva Hero as well. So Diva Hero is far from its deathbed, right? It's
Right.
still doing quite well in the current Edison format.
Oh, definitely. It always does my heart good to see Diva Hero top. Uh, so, Cairo, I was a part of interviewing you before in the past on the Edison Club podcast, but I want to start fresh and get back to the very beginning for you. So you grew up in Philly, right?
That's right. Grew up in Philadelphia, and that's kind of where I started my Yu-Gi-Oh journey.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for the people that I met during that time, I wouldn't have been playing Yu-Gi-Oh today. And some of the most influential people during my childhood when I began playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Of course, my cousin. I shared a story about him on the Edison podcast. If it wasn't for him, I definitely wouldn't have pushed to become the player that I am today. Though he didn't live in Philadelphia, we still we played the old school Yu-Gi-Oh. Like this was before the internet was as popular as it was now. But we would like call each other and like duel on the phone.
I've
And
done that before.
if you're a true Yu-Gi-Oh veteran, you know exactly what I mean. How that is. This was before the days of dueling book, so
Oh
you have to
yeah.
call your friend and be like, "I summon my dark musician and I set 2 back rows," and you got to hope that your person's not cheating you, and they'll be like, "Oh, I play like brain control or whatever." It's like, of course, you know. So, yeah.
me,
But
me,
he was definitely one of the kind of influential people in my life when it came to playing Yu-Gi-Oh. As for the people within Philadelphia, of course, you have to mention Frazier. Um, Me and him really good friends, and if you haven't already, I definitely recommend checking out his channel as well. I Am Nerd Podcast. It's a lot of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content surrounding the Edison scene, and me and him we started playing Yu-Gi-Oh around the time I was in high school, and he was someone I always looked up to. And throughout the years, we got closer, and we really have grown together as players. So I really appreciate everything that I've learned from him, and I have to make sure to give him a proper shout out.
yeah, definitely big shouts to Frazier. And definitely go check out the I Am Nerd podcast. Is literally one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh podcasts to well Yu-Gi-Oh and like gaming and anime podcasts to check out.
For
Um,
sure, for sure.
so you had like a lot of really good players around your locals back in the day, like Steve Silverman, Sean McCabe, and of course we just talked about Frazier. How much did that help you grow as a player to have access to these players? Reason I asked this is because I recently listened to his one of Frazier's episodes with Scott Page, and they were talking about having the access to to like like really skilled, talented players. Like Scott had Billy Brake, Philly Luna, Chris Bowling, just immense talent all around. How much did that help you back in the day?
To be honest, not much. And the reason why it didn't help me that much wasn't because of the talent of the players around me.
Mm.
It was because of myself. I was my own limiting factor because I couldn't compete with them. And the reason why I couldn't compete with them because back in the day, Yu-Gi-Oh had a very strong monetary stance, like high entry barrier. If you didn't have the money, you couldn't play the game. So I would be playing these top players with these low tier decks because I couldn't afford the high tier decks. So I would just get bodied, every time. And to kind of put it in a perspective, to give a different analogy, let's say that you're playing basketball with
Hmm.
LeBron James.
Right.
If LeBron James beats you 20 times in a row, yeah, you're going to pick up some small things. But the point is, his level is too high. It's too high for you to even learn anything. And at that time, their level obviously was very high, and my level was very low. I wasn't as a proficient player as I am now. But one, I didn't have the means to compete with them. I didn't have the equipment, right? And two, I didn't have the skill. But I would say that as um, Upper Deck Entertainment left and Konami took over once again, and the prices of cards became cheaper, then
Hmm.
having those top level players around me constantly did help level up my game immensely. Because at that point, at least in terms of cards, we were on an even playing field, and it was just a matter of getting like the skill and experience. And I mentioned this also before in the podcast, but what helped me grow a lot as a player was actually the introduction of doing network. So not doing book. This is another old school Yu-Gi-Oh platform.
Right.
And basically, doing book was the dueling network before dueling network. And at that point, I was able to play nonstop against players from a variety of different skill levels. And that really helped me to increase my skills as a player. So, constantly playing day in and day out, I would spend hours on dueling network. I'm talking about in between classes. I'm playing Dueling Network when I was in college. And if I had free time, I'm playing Dueling Network. I always joke with some of my friends if there's like a kind of like life stats when you die, like this much hours you watch Netflix or this, many hours you did XYZ.
Yeah.
My stats for playing Dueling Book slash Dueling Network, days, months maybe. You know,
Right. I completely understand you. I used to do the exact same thing because I was in the same boat. Like I really couldn't afford like a lot of the decks during especially like during like Teledad format and stuff like that. So I'm just making like these like homebrews, and then like during the like after like Konami took over and whatnot, I was able to start being able to like afford other decks and stuff like that. It it certainly helped out a lot.
yeah, for sure. So, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh has definitely changed a lot since our younger days. There are still cards that are relatively expensive, but for the most part, it's not like how it was back in the day.
Right, exactly. And I guess that's what I like about S. That's what attracted me to S, and it's literally only expensive if you want it to be.
Ah, that's the perfect way of phrasing it, if you want it to be.
Yeah,
Because you could pick up a Caius for like $1, but if you want to bling it out and get like an alti Caius, you better be willing to spend your month's rent money.
exactly. Your deck could be $50 to $100. Your deck could be 5 grand.
Yeah. Yes. And it always impresses me whenever I go to events, I see a lot of players, skilled or not, they have max rarity cards. And I'm just like, how?
Right.
How? If you've ever seen any of my deck profiles with Diva Hero or even Black Wings, none of the cards are like max rarity. I just, maybe it's because I'm out here in Korea.
Hmm.
I'm making won instead of dollars. But when I see other players and their deck profiles and they have like alti everything, I'm just like, I'm impressed. I'm genuinely impressed.
You gotta get you some of them OG absolute zeros. The market's flooded with them now. They're dirt.
Right. I heard the price has dropped tremendously,
Oh yeah, I got a set immediately as soon as I was told.
you know? But I actually just recently, side note, I just recently purchased about five absolute zeros because over here in Korea, I'm going to be hosting an Edison tournament, and it's the second Edison tournament that I am going to be in charge of. And the name of the series is called a True Hero Championships. There's going to be a True Hero Championship too. A
Nice.
True Hero Championship 1 was very successful. For the first Edison tournament in Korea, we had 40 players in attendance, and it was a great introduction to the format. And I was able to win my own event, which is nice. And now we're having a True Hero Edison Championship 2, and that's going to be taking place on June 1st. And there's a special guest that's going to come, and I can reveal it to everyone who's listening to this podcast. By the time you listen to it, the event may be already over. But Simo, Yu-Gi-Oh YouTuber Simo,
Oh
he will be in it.
wow,
Yeah, it's really awesome. He
that's
just so
crazy.
happens to be in Korea during that time, and he decided to link up with me. So he's going to be participating in the event. Now, the only thing is, this event is a Switch tournament.
Right,
And for Switch tournaments, obviously the entry fee has to be a little bit higher than just a traditional tournament, right?
right.
So because of that, I'm not expecting as great of an entry as the first event.
Mhm.
So even if this event only attracts between 20 to 30 people, in my mind, it's a success. But I mean, yeah, definitely look forward to coverage on that. I'll be talking about that on my channel. But yeah, so I'm really happy. It'll be a great opportunity to meet Timo, and also more importantly, or just as important, just to play the game that I love, Edison format in Korea.
Good deal. Good deal. So, definitely shout out to Simo. Shout out to the your True Hero Championship too. I hope you have a lot of attendance for that event, man. Um,
Yeah.
so after Silch's ruin, like gave up on like playing Diva Hero, you brought the deck back into the limelight and just dominate. And like I said earlier in this podcast, you dominated all of 2023 and shown that the deck was still a force to be reckoned with. What are your feelings towards like the deck currently, and are you still playing the deck?
I mean, like currently, I I love Diva Hero. My two favorite decks in SM format, I've been on the record saying this, are Diva Hero and Black Wings. They're
Right.
hands down my favorite deck. And
Same.
actually, my most recent video on YouTube is actually me playing with both of those decks. A true hero meets a true villain. Now, as for my thoughts toward the deck, the problem with Diva Hero is it's a very inconsistent deck.
Right.
And there are some times where you pull hands where you literally cannot play anything. Now that's fine because I'm really good at bluffing. And these are skills that are obviously better done in person than through a virtual screen like dueling book. But I'm really good at bluffing, making my opponent think I have Gores, making my opponent think I have Mirror Force, when in reality I might not have anything, right?
Right.
And that's a part of the game, like mind games that cannot be played through a computer. Like to some extent you can do it, but it's not the same as you do in person, right?
Right.
Um, so anyway, because I can't like utilize this particular skill of mine, that kind of like makes Diva Hero less effective online. And not to say I haven't had success with Diva Hero online, because if anything, I've had more success with Diva Hero online than in person, right?
Right.
Because I've taught many events with Diva Hero on Dueling Book. But at the same time, now people understand how the deck functions, right?
Yeah.
Back in 2023, early 2023, I feel like many people weren't too aware of how to counteract Diva Hero. And I've even made videos on the subject too, right? Like how to beat Diva Hero. So I think people having a better idea of how to play the deck, its strengths, its weaknesses. So now that that's more publicly exposed, it's a little harder to do well with the deck. Now, once again, to circle back to the point that we spoke about earlier, that doesn't mean that the deck is dead because there's so many people who have been innovative with the deck, right?
Right.
Like Bad Robot making his version with Debris, Televisual making his version with Gravekeeper Spies, and even Joshua Reigns just playing the OG build, right?
Yeah.
So it still shows that the deck is a force to be reckoned with. But due to the inconsistent hands, and more so than anything, the fact that the deck simply loses to cards like Fossil Dyna, Royal Oppression, and Vanity's Fiend,
Yeah.
I prefer to play Black Wings because Black Wings they don't really have a bad matchup in Edison format,
Yeah.
and there are only two cards that they lose to, and that's Royal Decree and Consecrated Light. You
Yeah.
can make an argument for Starlight Road, but that can also be played around.
Right.
Now, the thing about Royal Decree and Consecrated Light is Black Wings don't even lose to those cards individually in most cases. Because let's say you have a consecrated light on the field. Well, they can get rid of it through their traps, such as uh, torrential, Icarus attack, deck devastation virus, etc. And if you only have Decree up on the field, they can get rid of it with their monsters. If a Shura attack goes through, they can special summon a Gale. You can make Black Rose. You have Blizzard plays to make Brionic. Brionic can bounce the Decree. So there are many ways to play around Consecrated Light or Decree, but Consecrated Light and Decree is a bit of a problem. So, I mean, that also gets into why I side Raikou in the Black Wing, in my Black Wing build, because Raikou outs both Consecrated Light and Royal Decree.
Yeah.
But the point is that Black Wings don't particularly have a bad matchup, and no matter what combination of cards you draw with Black Wings, almost no matter what, right? You can make a play. Even if you draw a hand of, like, let's say triple value, which is terrible. Most builds don't play triple value. I do because I play Dark Grepher.
Same.
Most builds play 1 to 2. But let's say you pull a hand of triple value.
Yeah.
Yes, you're not going to be happy with that hand, but you can do something. You can summon the value. You can attack. You can set the value to protect your life points. You can do something, even if it's like triple value, double whirlwind or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with Diva Hero, you'll pull some combination of cards quite frequently, actually, where you can't do a thing. Like you might pull some number of Miracle Fusions, 1 to 2 Miracle Fusions, a Malicious, like it just Agoras, a Dark Arm, and you can't do anything with those cards at all. There's no synergy between them. And now you're praying to draw like a Water Monster or a Future Fusion, and if you draw a Gold Sark with that kind of hand, then like you have to wait 2 additional turns. But Gold Sark is broken in Diva Hero, and I highly advocate playing it. I think that card should be played. Because if you think about it, this is like going on a bit of a tangent, right?
Oh, you're good.
If you think about it, decks that play Future Fusion generally play Gold Sark. Dragons, they play Gold Sark. Light Swarms, they play Gold Sark. So Diva Hero is no different. So I don't understand the argument of not playing Gold Sark in Diva Hero, because just decks that play Future Fusion, they play Gold Sark. There are a couple exceptions, like for example, you can make the argument Gemini. I don't believe Gemini plays Gold Sarcophagus, but Gemini is also not an A tier deck.
Yeah.
Right. So
I haven't seen that deck. I haven't seen that deck be used really since Nationals.
Yep, that was the last time I've seen it in the limelight as well. It got, I believe, top 16 at Nationals by Connor BBK Kids online.
I ended up playing in my last that round 9 before they went to Top Cut, and I ended up
awesome.
I ended up losing.
Yeah, I mean he's a very very innovative player to bring that deck to Nationals. He did very well, and it would have been nice if he did get top 8, because then more people would put some respect on its name.
Yeah,
right? As
for sure.
But anyway, so the point is that I think that Gold Sark definitely should be played in Diva Hero, and I don't understand why people choose to not play it, but I always tell people just play the deck the way you feel most comfortable. If you feel comfortable not playing cards like Gold Sark, then if it works for you, great. And while we're on the subject of like great players, I also don't want to forget to give this player his flowers too. Oscar Ruano, another great Diva Hero player.
Shout out to Oscar.
Shout outs to Oscar. For those of you who don't know, he's won many a PS5 tournaments in California. He's the innovator of what people dub the defensive Diva Hero build that plays like Wing Blast and Deep Prisons, etc. Right? So definitely another great player. But to bring this question to a close, what do I think about Diva Hero? I think it's a very powerful deck. I just think it's a little bit inconsistent, and I don't want to risk my tournament experience on losing to an inconsistent hand, but more so than losing to an inconsistent hand, losing to a card like Royal Oppression, because I can play out of a bad hand. That's a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because even the best decks in the format can draw bad. That's just a part of the game. And Diva Hero truly, despite what I just said the past few minutes, isn't as inconsistent as people think. It really isn't that inconsistent, especially if you're playing the Gold Sarks, right?
Right.
But the main problem is that it just loses so hard to Royal Oppression, Vanity Scheme, Falsadina, to the point where you can't do anything. I have lost games where it's I had the most broken cards you could think of: heavy, brain control, miracle fusion. Like, but I can't really play any of these cards because my opponent has a false line up,
Right.
and I'm over it, right? So
Yeah.
one solution, of course, is playing like Phoenix Wing Blast, which the defensive build plays, and that's a very great card. I'm not a fan of discard traps because naturally they are a neg one. Wing Blast can arguably be not so much of a neg one because it does spin the card to the top of the opponent's deck, but still, I'm not the biggest fan of it. So I've made innovations since that time to kind of like mitigate the weaknesses to those cards, but still, Black Wings is just easier. I never have to worry about losing to my deck
Yeah.
because it's so consistent. And moreover, if you open up Rowan Shora, that's better than I'd say 99.99% of the openings you can open up with Diva Hero. Diva Hero's best opening is Future Fusion and a tuner, but
Yeah.
there's stipulations to that, right? And the stipulations are that not only do you have to open up Future Fusion and a tuner, but you also cannot have malicious in your opening hand.
Exactly.
So there have been so many games where I have like Future Fusion tuner and I draw my six card into some malicious. And I'm just like, really?
I,
Really?
it's the worst feeling in the world. But what's even worse than that is drawing future fusion and drawing both malicious. That's just
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
it.
And that's even worse. And you just have to keep a stone cold face, like you can't show it to your opponent. And it's just like for people who don't know how to play against Diva Hero, if you go Future Fusion and you send like for example a Prodigy and a Treeborn Frog or a Spine Gilman or whatever waters your deck runs, then
Yeah.
like they're gonna just think, oh, this person opened up broken because they're playing Future Fusion. But to the people who are more kind of aware of how Diva Hero works, if the Diva Hero player goes Future Fusion and they don't send malicious, it means it's in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it's just there's so many like even the best hands with Diva Hero. There's so many cards like this hand is great, but I drew this. Oh, this double Diva is great, but I also have Spine Gilman in my hand,
Right.
right? Like this Future Fusion is great, but I have Malicious in my hand. This Miracle Fusion is great, but I don't have any Heroes or Warders in my hand or in my grave.
Right.
This Dark Arm is great, but I don't have any Darks in my grave. There's so many, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just
And Blackwing, it doesn't have it just doesn't have that consistency issue. Like the worst consistency problem that you could have, like you said, just like excuse me, like drawing like triple value or just drawing all like your small black wings, like drawing blizzards with no like legitimate targets engraved, or
right.
just having to normal summon Kalut when you don't
Yep.
when it's not really advantageous for you to do so, like
Yep.
just stuff like that. But like that's really the worst of what Blackwing has to really worry about, and I think
And
that's very easy to mitigate that.
yes, that's exactly right. And then, like I said, there's no single card that Blackwing loses to, right?
Yeah.
The opponent needs to draw both Consecrated and Decree for Blackwings to be in a really bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Diva Hero, the opponent only needs to pull one of those three cards. You just need one False Diamond. You just need one Vanity Spleen. You just need one Oppression. And also, there are other cards too, right? You just need one Defissure. You know what I mean? There's so many cards that really just slows down Diva Hero to the point where it makes it um, not desirable to play. And back to the opening, right? So Diva Hero's best opening is Future Fusion and Tuner. But
Yeah.
like if you draw the malicious, then that opening isn't as good. But even if let's say you do open up Future Fusion, there's no malicious in your hand, and you can make Stardust beyond a Future Fusion, that's still not enough. Because if you make Stardust and Future Fusion, it's not good unless you have a trap to back up that Stardust.
Right.
Because Stardust, as great of a card as he is, in Edison format, he can be easily outed with your opponent's turn one hand when they have six cards in their hand, right? Like mid to late game, like Stardust becomes a lot harder to out because your opponent often has less resources or you have, the right combination of traps to protect him. But it's just Diva Hero's best opening. That's three cards you need. You need a Future Fusion, you need a Tuner, you need Malicious not to be in your hand, and you need a trap to protect your Stardust.
Right.
That's three cards that you need. And mind you, Future Fusion is at one, right?
Yeah.
Diva's at three, so that's good, right? And you play a lot of traps.
Yeah.
You need to pull your one Future Fusion in combination with other cards. Whereas in Black Wings, Shora is at 3,
Yeah.
Whirlwind is at 2. What combination are you more likely to open up? Whirlwind Shora or Future Fusion, Diva, and a trap?
Yeah. You're more.
Obviously,
Yeah. You're
it's
more
Whirlwind
likely
Shora.
to whirlwind sure.
And not only that, but it's just like even if you think about, let's say Diva Hero has its best opening and they go Stardust, Future Fusion, and let's say that their trap is like a D prison, right? That's a
Yeah.
solid trap to have behind it, right?
Yeah.
If I go Whirlwind Shora and I add Kalut, I'm in a strong position, right? And
Yeah.
if I have a read that like your back row is D prison, I can just not attack. And then like what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
Whirlwind Shora is so strong.
It,
It's
re-
so strong.
it
And
really.
against most decks, right? Against most decks who can't open up like as broken as Diva Hero in those rare instances, then like Roman Shora actually just wins. I think there was a War League statistic, an Edison War League statistic a while ago that says that Blackwing players who go first and open up Roman Shora have like a 90% win rate.
I can agree. I agree with that. Shura is probably one of, if not the most scariest normal summon in Edison.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is actually just crazy. And like to just this is the last thing I'll say about like the openings, right? If I go like let's say you went first and you summon a monster, um, and you don't have any back rows, right? Let's
Yeah.
just pretend this perfect scenario, and I go like Rowan Shora,
Yeah.
right? Or even like let's talk about a real scenario that could actually happen. Let's say you go set hamster,
Yeah.
and then like you set your hamster because you think you're good. I'll open up Whirlwind Shora, and let's assume like I have a Kalut in my hand as well.
Mm.
Open up Whirlwind Shora, and then like I could special summon Gale, or I would probably hold the Gale because I would assume the monster is Raikou. But anyway, I go Whirlwind Shora. I
Mm.
would add Gale because I already have Kalut. Shora run over the hamster, and then like I got a Kalut to kill the hamster. I could bring out Bayou from the deck, main phase 2, special summon Gale, Synchro, Armor Master, Synchro, Armor Master, and Bayou, make Stardust. And then it's like now I have a similar opening to Diva Hero with like Stardust and Whirlwind, right? Whereas
Yeah.
Diva Heroes would be Stardust and Future Fusion, while also having a 2800 monster that I can bring out at any time, being Silverwind, right?
Yeah.
By managing Armor Master and the Bayou.
Yeah.
So the openings are similar. Whirlwind Shura can lead also into like a level 8 monster as well, with potential to bring out a Silverwind.
Hmm.
And the opening with Diva Hero, it's comparable, right? You can see how they're similar.
Right.
So, and one of them is more frequent than the other. So it's just like why. I hope this kind of really long-winded explanation really does shed light on my thoughts on Diva Hero, because that's what you asked, what I think about the deck, and
Yeah.
why I've been playing Black Wings more frequently.
Right. And I don't blame you for playing Black Wings more so than Deep Hero. I understand that completely. To be quite honest, I've been testing Black Wings more so myself here the past few days. I've been thinking about picking it back up myself. Um,
Yeah, it's a strong deck.
it really is. All right, so this will be the last Edison question I'll have for you. It's actually written in by our good friend Michael Boyd. Shout out to Michael. Um, he's been very curious to ask you your thoughts specifically on the GK version of Diva Hero.
Oh yeah, for those of you who may not know, Televisual is actually one of my closest friends in real life.
Oh,
Like
really?
he's not, yeah, he's not just like a dueling book guy. Me and him, we have been best friends like since high school.
Oh,
He's
wow.
actually my closest friend. Yeah, small world, right?
That's pretty
Um,
cool.
yeah, I'm actually the one who got him into Edison format. I got him and Bad Robot into the Edison format, both of them. So it's funny, I
Nice.
got two well known Diva Hero players into the format. But anyway, so my thoughts on the Spy version, I personally don't like it. To be honest, I personally don't like it, and
Mm,
the reason why I don't like it is just because I'm not a big fan of the Gravekeeper cards. I think they're a little bit slow.
right.
However, even though I don't like it, in terms of competitiveness, it's very good. It's very good, and the reason why it's very good is because Diva Hero, if they have a level 4 monster on the field, they can just explode. Because one of Diva Hero's strongest plays is Deep Sea Diva plus a level 4 monster. Because then
Exactly.
oftentimes you can go like Diva into level 4, make Brio pitch, let's say you have Malicious in your hand, bounce your opponent's cards, and then you can just continue from there on, right? With miracle fusions and things like that. And the cool thing about Spy is like Spy brings out another Spy, so you can make two level sixes, which is really broken. You
Yeah.
can make like Brio, and you can also make like a Goyu Guardian. And if you have a Miracle Fusion, that's Brio, Goyu Guardian, Absolute Zero. Zero's going to be at 3K because you have Brionic. So
Mm-hmm.
23, 28, 3,000. That's 81 if
Yeah.
my math is correct. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's really really strong. Um, so I definitely support the spy version, and I think it just comes down to like just really try what you like. If you like the more aggressive version that I'm known to play, you should play that. If you like a little bit more defensive, I do one kind of like tech that Bad Robot and Television have added recently to Diva Hero that I really like is playing both Armageddon Knight and Dark Grepher. I think
Yeah.
that's actually like a really good tech. I personally haven't tested it, so if I get back to playing Diva Hero a little bit more consistently, I'll definitely test that out. But I think that it's really good because one, Armageddon Knight, sometimes you need Grepher, sometimes you need Armageddon Knight. But Armageddon Knight is a level 4 monster, and I just
Mm-hmm.
explained why level 4 monsters are good in Diva Hero.
Right.
And also, Armageddon Knight can beat over Falsadina. And that's kind of one of the problems, like with my build, right? Because
Yeah.
my build, I only have 2 to 3 cards that can beat over a Falsadina, normal summon. And that is Stratos, Grepher, and Spine Gilman. So if I don't have any of those 3 cards, literally every other monster in my deck cannot beat Falsadina. Not a single one. Because the other ones are like Caius's, which is really hard to summon without being able to special summon, because usually the go-to play is Special Prodigy, sack Caius.
Yeah.
So Caius won't do much. Gorz doesn't do anything. Dark Arm doesn't do anything. Prodigy, as I just mentioned, he doesn't do anything, right? I don't main deck Snowman Eater. Diva doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
So aside from those 3 monsters, like it's really difficult for my deck to out a Falsadina that has been normal summoned. So I think Armageddon Knight kind of like adds a little element of both offense to it of the deck and defense too, because some of their builds have also been playing Necro Gardener. So it's like even if you don't have anything that you necessarily want to pitch, then you can always send Necro, right? You
Right.
can send Plague, you can send Necro, you can send Molly. So he's really versatile. Armageddon Knight is really versatile. So I really like that they included that in their more recent builds. But yeah, the Spy build I think is really good. It doesn't play Sangan, which I personally think is wrong because I think Sangan is too good in Diva Hero.
I agree.
But I understand the logic. One, you got to make space. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And then two, Television has gone on the record basically saying that Sangan is Shora and Bora food.
Yeah.
But like my kind of counter to that, and I don't know if he's changed his perspective since we've talked about it, but I kind of mentioned to him like, you're not going to play 9 rounds of Black Wings.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. Like, not every single player is playing Black Wings because Edison format is so diverse. So to kind of build your deck in a way that like you are only prepping for one matchup is a little like ludicrous, a little
Right.
ludicrous.
Yeah.
But I think instead it's just like if you're that worried about cards like Shora against Black Wings, games 2 and 3 just side it out. But even me personally, I wouldn't side it out because he's so versatile. Because he can grab a hero, he can grab a water, right? You
Yeah.
get your Prodigy, you get your Diva, you get your side deck cards, you get your
Exactly.
Diddy Crows, you get your False Dinas, you get your Consecrated Light against Black Wings,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
I think that just the card is too good. He plays around Mirror Force and Torrential, right? He could bait out D Prisons. Like I just think Sangan is just too good. So, but anyway, he definitely saw success with the deck. He was able to make top 4, which is amazing. In that same event, another one of my close friends, OG, he actually won that event. So it was really, really great that 2 of my closest friends were able to see a lot of success at that tournament. But yeah, so the OG, not the OG, sorry, the Televisual Gravekeeper Spy TV Hero, I think it's a great deck. I think you should try it, but it's just not for me because I prefer to be a little bit more aggressive.
Right. I understand that. I haven't tried that build out much myself. I've tested with it here and there, but I have not like fully like tested the Gravekeeper version out. I have been testing the version though, like playing like Never Gardener and like Greffer and Armageddon Knight. And I highly recommend that build. That build's really really strong. One card out of that deck that has that really surprised me with how good it was Karma Cut. That card's insane.
Yeah, that's the Dave, the bad robot special,
Yeah,
right? That's the bad robot special.
yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed like using that card. The more and more I like tested that build out. So that was something I really enjoyed from that. But
My thoughts on Karma Cut, just to say briefly before you move on to your next question, I think the card's really good. I think people don't utilize it to its full potential.
right.
I think that Bad Robot was a duelist mastermind to bring that into the meta once again because it is definitely an underplayed card and it's very good.
I agree. I agree strongly. Um, so let's get into talking about some Tengu format for a second. Uh, I see you started the Tengu War League. What is it about Tengu format that attracts you? And what are other Time Wizard formats? What other Time Wizard formats do you see potential in to grow one day?
Well, the thing about Tengu format was I am a big fan of just retro Yu-Gi-Oh because it brings the whole nostalgia factor to life.
Right.
So Tengu format is a little bit further down the timeline in comparison to Edison because it utilizes a greater number of hand traps. Now, some might say that Edison format has no hand traps at all, and that's not true because Edison format has cards like Gorge, Tragodia, DD Crow, etc.
Yeah.
Right? Even Karibo technically is in the format, though nobody uses it.
Yeah. Haniwada.
um, right. So there are definitely some hand traps in Edison format. However, the more commonly played hand traps are in Tengu format. So I really like that introduction of it. It's because it gives more interaction on your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
In modern Yu-Gi-Oh, 2024 Yu-Gi-Oh, the game has been completely warped into a state of if you don't have a hand trap at all, you're likely going to lose the game against your opponent because that's how necessary hand traps are in 2024 Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh yeah.
But in Tengu format, it hasn't quite reached that point yet. Of course, there are broken hand traps like Max C, Effect Veiler, but even with Max C isn't as broken as it would be currently because decks, aside from Tengu Plant, they can just stop when it comes to special summoning, right? You don't have to continue to go on. Now, some people like to take the Maxi challenge, and
Yeah.
it's always funny how to see that how that turns out. But the point is, I really do like Tengu format for the introduction of hand traps and also just the new variety of decks that come that were not in Edison format. So I'm really actually proud to be able to host the Tengu War League. It has been a wonderful experience. Of course, there have been hiccups here and there because it is my first event to host on a large scale, and it's been running for about 2 to 3 months. But it's coming to a close. We're going to be entering playoffs within the next 2 weeks, so I'm really happy about that. And overall, I would definitely say that it was a successful event. The majority of the people really enjoyed themselves, and it was something that I wanted to bring to the community because I've had my success as a duelist, and I really want to focus on being a content creator, which is also why I haven't been entering in too many tournaments recently. I want to kind of change and focus more on content creation. Of course, I still have the competitive spirit, but the main issue is now more so than just topping events, I want to win an event,
Right.
right? And because I've already had so many tops, like I don't care about topping another event. That now I'm at the point where I want to win an event. So as it may be known in Korea, due to time differences, let's say a tournament starts in the States at like noon. That's
Mm-hmm.
2 a.m. for me,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm over the point in my career where I'm going to wake up at 2 a.m. I'm going to play from 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. to attempt to play in a tournament. Like I'm good. Like I'm
Yeah.
not doing that anymore. I did that all of 2023, and it was great, and I got a lot of tops. But like I'm not doing it again in 2024. So it's like if I wake up at 2 a.m. to play in a tournament, and like let's say I lose within the first 2 to 3 rounds, then like I'm just going to drop. And it's unfortunate because like there are so many players who could like take an early round loss and then come back and win the event. But for me, it's not worth it. Like I'm not going to stay up all night and play Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. And if I was in the States or even if I was in Europe, then like I would do it because it wouldn't be that bad. But to anyone who is a Yu-Gi-Oh player who really has that competitive drive and spirit, then you know it's very difficult to play an event at like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, even if you prepare for it.
Oh yeah,
Because like for me, I sacrificed 2 days essentially, right?
yeah,
And the reason why I sacrificed in 2 days is because like the day of the event in Korea, I have to sleep during the day, the physical daytime. That way I can be up and ready during the nighttime around 2 a.m. when the event starts. So
yeah,
I lose that day because I have to sleep. And now I'm playing all throughout that night. And now my sleep schedule's messed up because the tournament ends at, let's say, 9 or 10 a.m. So now I'm tired. And now I lose the second day because I have to sleep the entire day. So it's just like I lose 2 days. It's just not, from a matter of time perspective, it's not worth it. It's not worth losing 2 days. So it's like it's very unfortunate. And I really want to focus on like IRL events. And I was planning on going to RBT Maryland, but the other problem with IRL events is that that same sleep schedule problem exists because of jet lag, right? Like
right.
Korea and America are on opposite time zones, and like I got to play right away. But more so than that, it's expensive. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
in August to go to RBT Maryland, it's 2 G's. Like I'm not paying 2 G's for a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. Like
yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
I don't blame you on that at all. I couldn't justify that. Like even like even like winning the like even like if I was to know, like guarantee win the event, it still wouldn't even
Yeah,
be worth it.
but yeah, you know, almost aside from like the YCSs, there's no first place prize that's going to be worth $2,000, more than $2,000.
Yeah,
You know, and that's not including the expenses of like hotel, Airbnb, food, gas money. Because usually when I go to an event in the States, I usually try to spend time with my family too and
all right.
catch a ride with my friends. So there's just so many expenses that go into it. So it's very difficult for me to kind of progress my career as a player. So even though, I'm not done being a competitive duelist, my focus now is more on like, bringing content to the community, either through YouTube, which I can do in my own time, or through events like the Tengu War League, which has been a success. And I want to continue to provide and be a positive member in the community. But yeah, the Tengu War League's been going great, and I will be sure to upload on my channel the playoffs, all the sets of the playoffs, and look forward to that.
If you're not subscribed to a True Hero by now, I don't know what you're doing. Go ahead and subscribe to that channel. That's a very good channel.
Thank you, thank you. So with that said, do you have any kind of like last minute questions? Because if not, I have one question for you, and I think we could wrap this up.
That was all the questions I had. What question do you have for me?
So the question I have for you is like, you, of course, man, you have been doing this Yu-Gi-Oh thing for a while. You are one of the best duelists when it comes to like Diva Hero. Like a lot of people have known that you've achieved a lot of success recently too. And I remember, you've been contacting me. You're like, yo, bro, like I just topped this event. So you're a great player. And with all of that, um, what made you decide to go from like a player to like a person who really wants to focus on like content creation? Because I gave my story. My story is basically because of the distance being in Korea. But what about you? What made you really decide to like go full force into being like a content creator?
Well, I don't know I don't know if you knew about this, but like I've been on YouTube for a long time. It's like I started off like filming like video like duels and stuff on a BlackBerry, man. Like it was dark times for my channel for the longest, and just I didn't start picking up like Steam really until it was a YCS Charlotte 2011. And I literally did 22 videos that entire weekend. And,
Whoa.
and I got deck profiles from everybody you can think of: Maurice Brantley, Jarrell Winston. The list went on and on and on. And I got and like from that point on, like I just kept trying and kept trying and kept trying, but like I just it never really picked up, and then like and then for a while I just stopped, and then I decided I was just gonna focus on playing more. So I was still playing like modern Yu-Gi-Oh at the time. So I just kept like grinding regionals and stuff like that, and just trying to break through and top nationals, and that never happened. So I like at one point me and Michael Boyd had both decided we were just gonna just bow out of modern because it was just it like if it like we had got to the point where it's like if it hasn't happened by now, it's probably not gonna happen. And then Edison format came around, and then I started like really like wanting to like get like do well in that. I was like, this is because I thought to myself, this is a run back. I got like I didn't get to do I didn't get to do all that well in this format just because didn't get to go to tournaments like that and stuff during that time period because I was in high school, and I didn't have a vehicle at the time, so I wasn't really able to really go anywhere. So I was just like, oh, this is perfect. And then I did like from that point on, I just kept grinding tournaments like nonstop, like every single tournament that there was last year. I tried my best to make it there. I don't know if you know this story. I like me and my friend Michael Gammons. We went to nationals on a whim. We didn't even know that
Wow,
we didn't even know that we were going. Like because
I didn't know that.
we we had planned to go this 3v3 beforehand. Like there was a couple weeks prior, and because the thing about it was we had heard that Nationals already capped off. They weren't gonna like we thought okay they're not gonna have no more players enter or whatever, and then we kept trying to enter this 3v3, and we like literally our third person dropped out 5 times, and
Jeez.
yeah, it was the most wild, frustrating thing in the world. I was so mad, and I was just like, well, let's go ahead and go to nationals anyway. Maybe there won't be some people that show up, or maybe there'll be some spots, and then we like literally built our decks there and
That's crazy.
and entered the tournament.
And
And
you were doing well. You were
yeah,
doing really well. I remember talking to you throughout the event, and at one point your record was even better than mine.
yeah, I didn't expect to do well at all because like I said we just built our decks right there and like we were like every round is we were cooking and I was just like okay let's go like maybe we got something here let's go, but like after the right kind of like wrap this story up like after that I kept doing well throughout the year, and then my last top I topped a Tengu tournament at the start of the year with X Sabers. And then after that, I was just like I moved and like I took a break to really spend time with my family. And then I really like I seen the success that Frazier has with his channel. I see the success that our team is having with the team channel, and I'm just like, man, I've been on YouTube since like actively doing videos since 2009, and I'm not even over three K subscribers. Let me really try to put the force back into this, and show people like the I can bring good quality content.
Right. Yeah, and I believe it, man. I believe it. Well, I can definitely say that it has been a pleasure being on this channel. I'm always thankful that, hop on a call with you. I'm always thankful, to play Yu-Gi-Oh with you. For those of you who haven't seen, we also have a collab video where we played Diva Hero together. So, it's always a good time when I'm on the phone with Ty.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always a joy and a treat to always, get to spend time and talk with you and play on DB test out DB Hero. Like it's always a good time with you, Cairo.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much again for having me on the channel.
Of
I mean,
course.
like, I'm gonna say it, because he's been very kind and giving shout outs to all the other YouTubers. But like, if you've made it this far, if you made it to the end of this video, clearly you love Ty's content. So be sure to subscribe to him. He's going to continue providing, making more consistent videos and just, helping all of us become a better Yu Gi Oh player. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, if you hadn't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you doing? Like, I need that. But all right, Kyra, I appreciate you sitting down with me, man. It really means a lot to me. And like I said, y'all, if y'all haven't checked out A True Hero yet, go check out his channel right now as soon as you end this video. Um, but yeah, man. Thank you for sitting down with me. And this is Ty with the Behind the Dual Disc podcast. Signing out until the next one.
Peace.